And also, my favorite scene I like in Funny Face, when Audrey Hepburn dances with her, when Audrey Hepburn dances in her black sweatshirt and her black sweatpants and her white socks and her slippers at the bar and restaurant scene, dancing with when she dances with the hippies or something. Like I can't remember the. Oh yeah, she dances with the beatniks. Yeah. Now we're going into the late 1950s when Fred Astaire dancing musicals were getting kind of getting outdating and getting slower. And here's Silk Stockings from 1957. This film, Silk Stockings, was a remake from the 1939's The Knotzker with Greta Garbo and Melvyn Douglas. And this film has Jules Munchin and Peter Lorre. Seth Cerise was like Greta Garbo and Fred Astaire is like Melvyn Douglas. It was directed by, it was made in 1957 in CinemaScope for NGM. And it has some good song numbers like the Red Blues, Ritz, Roll and Rock. That's when he was imitating Elvis Presley. Fate to Be Made, yeah. 1987 release. It came out on home video in the early 80s of Silk Stockings. Probably in 1981. I think it was in 82. God, I love Fred Astaire. During the 1960s, and also in the mid-1950s, Fred Astaire teamed up with Leslie Calhoun for 20th Century Fox Daddy Longlegs, which is I Don't Have. The president of his company, Fred Astaire, did in 1961. Then Fred Astaire did like On the Beach with the film directed by Stanley Kramer that co-stars with Anthony Perkins. Was it Frederick March? I'm not that sure. Now we got to go to like one of the musical films that was made in the late 1960s when musicals were fading out. Like the late 1960s, like 1968 when Barbra Streisand did Funny Girl, Ron Mooney and Oliver Reed did Oliver. Then the other film Barbra Streisand did in the late 1960s, Hello Dolly. And Shirley MacLaine did Sweet Charity. And in the early 60s, Robert Preston did The Music Man, even The West Side Story in 1961, and The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. That's how the movie saved the 20th Century Fox from being bankrupt, and that's how The Sound of Music became a box office success. Now we got here like one of the later films that Fred Astaire did. In 1968's Finnegan's Rainbow, based on the Broadway show in 1947. And did you know Fred Astaire was 69 when he plays Finnegan McGuadigan, has the young Bettina Clark, co-stars with Don Franks, Keenan Wynn was the racist senator, and you know, when you watch that movie closely, he turns into a black person when Bettina Clark wished him. Al Freeman Jr., introducing Barbara Hancock, and Tommy Steele as Ugg the Leprechaun. The same Tommy Steele plays the butler in the Disney's Happiest Millionaire in 1967 for Velocity. Yep. And he was a British rock singer of the 1960s, Tommy Steele. And this film was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The same Francis Ford Coppola directed the Godfather films. It was you, Fredo. It was you. Albertino says that quote. Finnegan's Rainbow, I wish they could make it to a Disney musical extravaganza. Just like with Mary Poppins, just like with Pete's Dragon in 1977. Follow the rainbow to the musical pot of gold. And it featuring some good songs in Finnegan's Rainbow with How Are Things in Glockamore, Look to the Rainbow, Beget, and I Love the Girl When I'm Near, and Old Devil Moon. But my favorite song I like, Look to the Rainbow, like Fred Astaire and Bettina Clark does that dancing number in the movie, and even the opening credits. At that time, Bettina Clark did did Peter O'Toole in Goodbye, Mr. Chips, which is not a great movie in 1969. There was the original one that stars Robert Goulet, like Robert Dunant, and Angria Garson. Finnegan's Rainbow was released at Warner Brothers in 1968 in 7. That was released from Warner Brothers 7 Arts in 1968. And this is on VHS 1984 for Warner Home Video, division of the Warner Communications Company. And did you know also Finnegan's Rainbow was reissued on VHS in 1987 of the Warner Brothers Screen Legends series? One time I was about to get this on VHS at the video station on Metropolitan Avenue in Queens, New York in January. All of a sudden we couldn't buy it because it was in Betamax. I didn't know what Beta was, but I had to check that out. I didn't get into the Beta tapes and Beta players not until 8 years later. At least I understand it. And you know also for Finnegan's Rainbow, it's not that great as The Music Man. Finnegan's Rainbow's a good movie, but it's not great as The Music Man, as a matter of fact. Or it's not great as The Godfather. Or Godfather Part 2. I want to be a man! That's Marlon Brando's quote from The Godfather. Now we got here like one of the two That's Entertainment films. Let's start with the first one. Fred Astaire appeared in it. He was one of the hosts, and he narrated Gene Kelly's thing when they show some clips with some Gene Kelly films like the Singing in the Rain, On the Town, Anchors Away, and many more. And it has some guest stars like, besides Fred Astaire, had Bing Crosby, sadly without Bob Hope, Gene Kelly, Peter Lawford, Liza Minnelli, the daughter of Judy Garland. By that time, Judy Garland died in 1969 from drug overdose. Donald O'Connor for Francis the Talking Mule. Debbie Reynolds, she was the voice of Charlotte the Spider from Charlotte's Web. Mickey Rooney, Mickey McGuire. He was a team with Judy Garland in the 1940s at MGM. Frank Sinatra is in it. The great Jimmy Stewart as George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life, and Elizabeth Taylor. That she did her early days at MGM, that includes Natural Velvet, and The Cat on the Hot Tin Roof in the late 1950s. And it has some clips in That's Entertainment, that includes the clips from Broadway Melody of 1929, Singing in the Rain, The Wizard of Oz, Gigi, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, Meet Me in St. Louis, and the one clip from Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy sings Indian Love Call from Rosemarie. The best musical entertainment that you ever be made by the Los Angeles Times. And this is the 1986 reissue from the Great Musicals collection. And however, this tape has the Deftone at the end. Printed it on January 15, 1987. And this sticker label was from 1983. That's Entertainment, the original, came out in 1981 from CBS MGM Home Video. Then reissued 1983. And then 1985 tape reprint. And 1986. And 1988. And last but not least, we got here That's Entertainment Part 2. Hosted by Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly, when they had nothing to do but like talking about the movie scenes, they had to dance in the same time. Then when they had some clips with some MGM stars, from Fred Astaire to Gene Kelly to Judy Garland to Esther Williams to Laurel and Hardy to Jeanette MacDonald, Nelson Eddy, and to many more, even Lassie and the Marx Brothers and Abbott and Costello. That's Entertainment was tough act to follow. Now here's That's Entertainment Part 2. Made 1976 from MGM, and did you know That's Entertainment Part 3 was made in 1994? However, Fred Astaire couldn't be in that film because Fred Astaire died in 1987. With some stars were in That's Entertainment 3 was narrating like Lena Horne, Gene Kelly, Sid Cerise, and Howard Keel. And this is the 1986 reissue. It originally came out from CBS NGM Home Video in 1981, which is that I have on beta, and the reissued in 1983. And this is 1986 reissue, then it was reissued again in 1988. Show you what this tape looks like. And this is in Macrovision. At the end of this tape has the exit music for the original That's Entertainment. Someone must have printed that out by accident. Excuse me. God bless Fred Astaire. He was one of the best known dancers of all times. So now I'm shoving off, and we'll see you next time when I have more of these my VHS tape video series. So just take care. Stay safe and keep on dancing of the spirit of Fred Astaire. Goodbye and stay safe. Dance from cheek to cheek. My Fred Astaire.